Hey, what's up YouTube? I'm just gonna open up here with this D-bag over here, cutting me off. Yeah, well, as you can see, I have a special treat today. I have my old bike, the CBR 600 F4i. My friend, shout out to Alberha, my buddy who lent it out to me, so I could review this. So, this is inline 4 CBR. This is an '01. This is before the banana seat, so this is the split seat one. This was Honda's flagship 600 before the 600 RR came out in '03, I believe. It has about 110 horsepower. It's electric start, fuel injected, 6-speed. It's pretty fun to drive for considering the condition it's in. I mean, yes, I know the red fuel injection light is on. That's because I think it's missing a mass airflow sensor or something like that. There's just like a screw in place of it. It's losing a little bit of power, but it's not too bad. As you see, I'm on the local windy road here, and this thing the suspension is fully adjustable, so you can tailor it to how you want. It soaks up the bumps fairly well. It's definitely a lot better than the SV. As far as how this power band works, it's really interesting because it's kind of very docile and tame from about 0 to say 7,000. It's very linear, very there's like no power. I mean, but it's okay for getting around town. But if you want that burst of power, that explosion, you're gonna have to ring it out to about 9-10,000. That's where you really get the brunt of it. So using this bike to its potential, it is going to take some work, but it's really fun, man. When the inline 4 kicks in, man, you're off. You're like a bat out of hell. The seating position, it's not too bad actually. It's almost more of sport touring. You kind of are propped up a little more than the typical super sports, where you're kind of really hunched over and the handlebars are really low. Don't get me wrong, after about 2-3 hours on this thing, you will feel a bit of fatigue because it's still clip-ons, but you can definitely spend more time on this than, say, a 600 RR or a R6. Yeah, it's better than that, or a ZX6R. As for handling-wise, it's very light and nimble. If you're experienced in riding motorcycles, if you had some seat time, this should not feel that heavy to you. If you're a beginner, it might feel a little heavy. But to me, I'm fine with it. And I can flat foot this bike actually. I'm 5'8", so you shouldn't have a problem touching the ground unless you're about, I think 5'6" and below. You might have a little harder time on this. But this bike is a real hoot to ride. Like this bike, if you can find it in good condition, it's solid. This I've seen on forums, people rack up like, this dude racked up like 200,000 something miles on this thing. It's like, what? What things go about? Let's see, the tachometer. It's pretty easy. The gauges are fairly well laid out. You have the big tachometer right there and a digital speedometer. All different. You have the clock. That's a nice plus. The gas tank is pretty big, so and you kind of have to reach a little forward for the bars, so that might put a little fatigue on your back if you're going on, say, longer interstate trips. Let's see, the stopping power it's good. I won't make too much comments about the brakes, as this is like it's like an overtime thing. Depends on your rotors and your pads, but overall, generally, it's not too bad. It stops on a dime. As you can see here, I can't really push it to to its full limit, which I'm not going to. It's a legal road anyway. The other things to comment. Oh, if you have a passenger on this bike, they're probably not gonna be too happy about being in the back. The seat in the back is kind of hard, and it's kind of small. So if you want, and also the rider's seat is hard as well. So this one has a swapped out seat, which is soft and way more comfortable. If you want to do any sort of long distance riding or carry a passenger, you probably change out both seats. That would be my recommendation. as far as how this thing sounds, man, it sounds awesome with this micron exhaust. But I think the previous owner cut a piece of it and then put the slip-on on, so it's like it's extra loud. But it sounds great. Sounds like a race bike. Another thing to note, when you turn this bike in, it just feels very, how do I explain this? Very fluid, very natural. It seems like it just wants to tip in real easily, and you can get some pretty good leaning angles on this thing, but it's not quite as sharp as like an R6 or GSXR. But you can certainly ride pretty aggressively on this thing and be fine. I feel like the CBR is almost like a jack of all trades. You can see I'm starting to push it a bit in there, and it's doing great. But you have to, if you want to maintain any kind of speed, you're gonna have to keep it in the power band, up where the power band is about above 7,000. That's where you get some power. Below that, you're not gonna be going too quick. Now I know there's a lot of people that started on this bike from like forums, some groups, YouTube videos, whatever. I can see that happening. I mean, if you're mature and you can respect this bike, it can certainly be a decent beginner bike. Because it's just so tame from 0 to 7,000. If you're just riding around the city and you just stay, below the power band, you can learn to control this thing slowly and just grow into this bike, and then you can really utilize the full power of this. But that's not to say if you're not too comfortable with motorcycles, I wouldn't recommend starting on this. For a beginner, this bike might feel a little heavy, and the seating position might feel weird and whatnot. I can certainly see an experienced rider bringing the hell out of this. I'm having a buttload of fun out of this, and I haven't been riding that long, so this bike just feels good to me. I mean, I rode it before, so I know how this bike works, but it's just so this bike can get you into trouble too, though. Like you just want to keep. It's so fun seeing the tachometer climb and climb and climb to the stratosphere. Just that needle, especially it's right there. You just want to see it go higher and higher, but then when you look down, you're already like 90 miles per hour, like I'm kind of doing right now. But I'm not speeding. No, not at all. Let's see. The throttle response on this is good. The clutch, the gearbox is nice, typical Honda sharp, clunk clunk. Shouldn't ever lose your gear. When you kick it into gear, it just feels very solid. So that's not an issue there. If I was to nitpick, the suspension could be even better when you under very hard braking, and I mean pretty hard braking. The front will start to shake. Now I don't know if it's this bike's problem or like F4i's in general. And when you go through some bumps mid corners, sometimes it might lose a little balance, but it's not as bad as my SB. So that's one thing to note. I can see this bike doing track days, the commute. This bike it's good. It can do almost everything you want it to do, and most people will not ride this motorcycle to its full potential, and that goes for most 600s as well. The fuel injection, it makes a world of difference. This is it's not like the newer fuel injection systems, but it's good enough. You still gotta let it kind of get up to about 150, 170 ish before you start riding it. Well, I would. I don't know if you have to, but it's just I would do that. The way this engine works, so the engine is just so buttery smooth, like and the fuel injection makes the throttle response so good. It's just so smooth, just cruising around or gunning it. You just feel so in control of this bike. I love how this bike feels, but I just wish it was in better condition. I can see myself maybe getting another CBR in the future. So yeah, that's it. That's the CBR 600 F4i. If you have any questions, talk to me in the comments, rate, subscribe. Alright guys, have a nice day. Asian Moto Dude, out.